Hi Dan, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
I'm going to be videotaping this interview, if it's okay with you.
Yep, sure.
I just need to get a little bit of feedback on my interviewing style, and it's for a course that I'm taking, so I just need to reflect upon how I do interviews. So if that's okay with you?
Sounds good.
Okay. And in any time, if you feel uncomfortable being videotaped, if you have any concerns, whatever, we can shut it off, and there's no issues at all.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of days ago that you wanted to talk to me about something?
Yeah, obviously being a new teacher and everything, the workload definitely seems overwhelming, and I feel like it's starting to be a bit of an issue in terms of, I guess, your work-life balance, or my work-life balance, and just kind of, I noticed that I'm not really hanging around people that I usually hang around with, and like I'm not spending as much time with like my family or my friends, because I feel like, you know, I'm doing work for a huge chunk of the day, and then I'm really tired for the rest of the day. So, you know, I just kind of wanted to express that, and just kind of let you know where I'm at, sort of, and just if you had any advice or anything, like how you dealt with things when you were a new teacher.
Okay, well, so you're feeling overwhelmed. You've got a lot of work because it's your first year teaching, and you're having a hard time finding a work-family kind of balance.
Yeah.
Do I hear you correctly?
Yeah, I would definitely say so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you find most of your time's getting eaten up?
Where do I find it?
Yeah,
you know what? I find that in terms of, okay, preparing the lesson, I think there's two things. Determining like how to deliver so that the students will understand my lesson, and then also kind of learning the content good enough to the point where like I'm 100% confident in what I'm teaching, and I can answer any sort of questions.
Right, so you're trying to prepare yourself.
Yeah, like I want to be
can,
prepared for
right.
like any type of questions at all. And then also, so there's that really is more so with the 3U course, of course, than the 4C. There's that, and then of course, like, okay, how particularly with the 4C, how can I like explain it to them where they're actually going to understand it? And sometimes I'll sit there for like way too long contemplating what to do, when I should just I don't know, like should I just make a decision and go with it? But like I just find myself contemplating way too much. If I should do this, if I should cut this out, if I should keep it, you know, can they handle it? If I do keep it, I just like, you know, almost like a worry wart about every little thing.
Yeah, that's understandable. In your first year of teaching, you obviously want to make a good impression.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you can deliver the material and have people understand you well. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
So now where do you find your own strengths in work?
In work, I think, I mean, are we talking in the classroom or like when I'm doing the work, like outside of the classroom?
I think both, really, because I think
Okay.
teaching isn't just one or the other.
Okay.
So what strengths do you?
In the class, I think definitely one of my strengths is, I guess, my enthusiasm in delivering the lesson. I really feel like that's definitely one of my strengths. I don't kind of just brush off things and expect students to know them. So kind of my lessons kind of go maybe a little longer than usual because I really take the time to explain every single little thing and hope that they're understanding it. And I think the students appreciate that. Most students appreciate that. Maybe some students think like, let's just move on. But I think for the most part, that helps a lot of students that I'm not just whizzing by certain things. I really kind of take time. And also, like I said, my enthusiasm in delivering it, keeping them also enthused about it. Outside of it, I mean, I feel pretty confident with like learning the math and everything. But again, it's one thing in terms of learning it yourself, but it's another thing when you actually have to know it to the point where you can teach it, right? So like, I mean, definitely I could probably work on that a bit, and I think that'll come once I teach the course again. Like, I think it'll just be that much easier for me. And I don't know, my strengths outside of the classroom, just I would say like it's also probably my downfall, but like my hard work and like determination to like get stuff done, right? Because I mean, anybody could. I wouldn't say anybody, but like, if you were to make like a worksheet for the students, most people could do that, right? It's a lot of work, so you just got to have that hard work and determination to get that done for each one of your classes.
Right. So you bring enthusiasm to the table
Yeah.
with your students, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, because then I'm sure the students feel that,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
can probably reflect
Mhm.
that. And then your hard work, seems like you're meticulous about your work.
Yeah,
You want to
definitely
make
very
sure that you
meticulous.
do a great job,
Mhm.
which sounds like you're
Mhm.
already doing that.
Mhm.
Do you have any checkpoints built into your lessons so that you can tell when it's you can move on to the next concept?
In terms of checkpoints, generally speaking, I would say probably no. You kind of get a sense of the class of like if they're understanding it. I'm always directing questions towards them, and I don't just direct questions to the same students all the time.
Right.
I'll pick different students. So if I know like one of my weaker students is understanding something, I guess that's almost kind of like a sign to me that okay, so if one of my weaker students knows the answer to this, then I might be able to move on here.
Right. Yeah. That's
So
seems like a good strategy.
yeah, it's not bad, but then it's almost impossible to know if every student is understanding it, right? Barring you do for every little subtopic, you do some sort of question that they need to submit,
Right,
and you
yeah.
can mark. Like it's pretty tough to know all the way through if every student is understanding it. And you know, like I do the Edmodo stuff too.
Mhm.
So when I do the lessons, usually not every class, but every other class, I'll have them just answer those
Right.
quizzes, and it gives me feedback of whether or not they're understanding it.
Right. So it seems like you're putting a lot of work into your job, and I mean that's what the teaching profession is about, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're finding a hard time, finding that balance,
yeah.
between family and work.
Mhm.
So, what kind of things could you perhaps think about or think of to help get that balance? Like what would you like to see happen?
I would like for me to kind of not be so obsessed, like, because realistically speaking is like, if I don't have this marked by tomorrow, okay, is it that huge of a deal? You know what I mean? I would like to see me not be so obsessed with getting things done, like right away, and then in the meantime still keeping up with preparing for the lessons that are coming down the road. So maybe just a little bit more laid back, where, like tonight, rather than stay in and do this hour of marking, maybe like I'll just go out with my friends and hang out with them, or go sit by the TV with my family, something like that.
Yeah.
Like just my personality, where like if I have something in my head that I know I have to do, I obsess over it until like I get it done.
Right.
Which is good, but it's also kind of causes stress, I think, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be stressed out
Yeah.
in this job because I'm sure there's enough
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So not finishing the marking that same day, that would alleviate a little bit of stress and
Yeah.
time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are there other alternatives that you could either add into that or do in lieu of that?
You know what, I think, now that you mention it, I think like, okay, I stay here till like, whatever it is, 5:36, and then by the time I get home, it takes me a good hour to get home.
Yeah.
So I'm getting home at 7. By the time I finish dinner, and usually I'll do a little bit of work also at home, maybe like an hour or so, just touch everything up, finish things. Maybe leaving earlier, and like maybe leaving, say, 4 o'clock or 3:30, and this way, I can do work at home, but at least like I'm around people and when I'm doing work at home.
Mhm.
So I think maybe I could do that more often rather than staying here by myself all night
Yeah.
and then going home still doing work and being super tired. Right.
Right.
So I think if I leave home, if I can find a way that I can go home early and still be pretty efficient at working at home while still being around like my family, then ideally that's what I would want.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And what's your workspace like at home? Like, could you work with?
You know what? That's the thing. It's not a great workspace.
Yeah.
So I have a very small desk, and by the time I put my laptop on my desk, there's not a whole lot of room.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's a good point. I think if I improve my workspace, because my little sister, she has like the spare room with the big desk. She always does her homework there, and she just always does her homework there.
Mhm.
I never really say anything. Otherwise, that if I can use it or whatever, I know that's the only desk. And then I also have a smaller desk in my room, but like I said, it's very tiny, and it's
Right.
not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now where you're, if you want to spend a bit more time with your family, your parents
yeah,
or whatnot,
that's the other thing. So
where are they when you're doing your work? Is
yeah,
there a
they're
way you
usually
could-
they're usually like watching TV
Yeah.
or something like that, right? So like ideally, like I would probably like to do it. I guess I could sort of do it in the kitchen area where I would still be around them.
Mhm.
So I guess I could do that.
Yeah, that could
Yeah.
be a way to at least be in the same room and
yeah,
then.
and I know I won't be as efficient, but at least like I think it'll help me deal with like the amount of workload, because you know, just being with people, right? Just being
Yeah.
with people, I think like
Yeah.
kind of makes you feel better.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I mean, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what kind of tasks could you do that don't demand all your concentration, so that you could be in?
Good question. I think when I'm in the middle of like, you know, making my actual worksheet, I already know what to do. Okay, then I don't mind if I have some distractions. But like when I'm trying to decide on something, and I'm trying to think, okay, how can I deliver this? And I'm really focused on trying to figure this out. That's when I do kind of like to be by myself.
Right.
Yeah. But like once I've already got my plan in my head, and I just need to kind of like put things together, I don't mind being with other people at all, because that's fine. Like I can still kind of do two things at once. But when I'm 100% focused on like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do that? And I'm contemplating and I'm thinking, that's where it kind of I think I need to be by myself. in that
Yeah.
case.
No, I understand. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the way I work too. And
Yeah.
so you need to concentrate for your to get the initial lessons and the plans for your
Mhm.
worksheets and that.
Mhm.
I imagine also for making tests and doing
Yes,
solutions,
absolutely,
perhaps, right?
absolutely, yeah.
And then you've got other.
You know what, those
tasks
solutions,
that-
solutions not so much.
No, okay.
Because you know what, I tend to know, like, once I'm making the test, I know the stuff, like
Right,
the back
yeah.
of my hand, and I
Mhm.
can kind of sit there with people
Yeah.
and just fly through it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's not a huge deal. Making the test, like designing the test, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's very
Mhm.
intricate. Okay, so it seems like we have a couple options.
Mhm.
You've got a couple alternatives. Now, the fact that you asked me to discuss this
Mhm.
means that you're concerned about it,
Mhm.
right? Your
Yep.
balance between work and family life.
Yep.
Now, after we terminate this interview, their session here, will you proceed to weigh out those options and actually perform them?
Yeah, I
Actually-
think we actually got a lot of good ideas out of this. And if there's certain tasks that I know that, like I said, if I'm kind of doing the worksheet, I already have the plan in place, everything, then yeah, like why not just go sit close to where my family is, socialize a little bit, do work, keeps my mind at ease a little bit.
Mhm.
Also leaving early, I think is a good idea. And maybe not every night, but on some nights, you know, like I don't need to be here 4 nights a week
No, of course,
till
yeah.
late, right? I can just do that stuff at home.
Mhm.
So I think doing that, and then also like finding a workspace that's close to, I guess, others that I can use, that's big enough that I'm comfortable in, and doing that. I think those are pretty good ideas actually,
Yeah.
that I'm going to think a lot about when we're done here.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind checking in with you also, maybe next week.
Yeah.
Come back and let me know how things are going. See if hopefully your stress level's a little bit lower,
Mhm.
and then you can let me know how the balance is going, and if we need to fine tune a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe make a few adjustments.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is there anything else that?
No, I think we covered everything, and actually like got a lot of useful little things in my head that I'm going to be thinking about now that we've talked. So
That's great.
I appreciate it.
Great. Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay.
So thanks for coming in, and yeah, so just make an appointment with my secretary, and
Okay.
we can come back, whenever next week sometime. and
Sure.
check
Sounds
in.
good.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Dan.
Mike. Take care.